She's not the type to follow orders willingly.
To which the Arcanoloth nods. And then she holds up her hand and says, I grew weary of the discussion. She reaches down and you hear the jingle of several keys. She pulls up a key ring with 3 keys on it. And she slides it across, she hands it across this stack of books to presumably Adrex, who's sitting closest to the center of the room.
And what do we have here?
She tells you that this is how she's going to earn your trust. Because she's going to tell you what these keys do, and you will see through her honesty and her generosity that she can be trusted. Though her designs are, as you would say, evil, she knows that it is not in her interest to be dishonest. She indicates the first key. The 3 keys look identical, except for just the shape of the teeth on the end of them. So the first key will open one of the 2 locked doors behind you as you exit my chamber. They are both guest rooms. And I give you use of one of them. The other, unfortunately, it's going to be rather cramped. The other one I need to stand empty. I'm expecting more guests any year now. She tells you the second key will open the sealed door in the chapel downstairs. She tells you that inside you will find a device that through the use of channeled sunlight, you may recharge magical items that have been drained. She says she gives you use of the room and of this device should you choose to use it. And now that she has officially inducted you as guests, the denizens of the castle will leave you well alone. She says the third key. The third key is used to open the window that you no doubt passed on your way here. And you should not use it, for if you do, not only will you surely die, but it could very reasonably destroy most of the physical form of this castle. And I am entrusting you with this key, which could lead to my own death as well. As a leap of faith, I am choosing to decide that you will not destroy my castle and bring danger to me by using that key. And I trust you enough that I will give you custodianship of it for the duration of your stay.
Wendy turns around, takes that key from Adrex, and hands it to Red.
All 3 keys are on the same keyring. Are you taking the whole keyring from him?
Yeah.
So Wendy snatches the keyring and turns around and hands it to Red.
Yeah, Red will tuck it into his belt. Then he
That's
loops
probably for the best.
Then he loops the second belt around the keyring. Then he loops his third belt from his dagger, one of his dagger sheaths over the keyring.
Wendy nods,
Birdie looks very, very disappointed.
having made the right choice.
No, Adrex is in agreement. No, that's for the best.
She
Birdie's
says,
still sad.
she says that there are only very few provisions in the castle, but what is available in the stores and in the kitchens downstairs, you are more than welcome to during your stay.
What about access to the drawbridge so that we can bring our sled to the tree?
There is no drawbridge. You saw the mechanism where a drawbridge once long, long ago might have been, but it's been long since destroyed.
Oh, okay.
How do they
We
get
would need
things
to-
in and out though? They
Yes.
have to.
You're
The
asking her?
giant.
Yeah.
Raazu
There has-
says very plainly the giant.
She asks
They
how
got
you
that
got in
brawl
and out.
that-
Well, we made a bridge.
Didn't last very long.
And she says and please, my capable friend, do not take offense, but if such a small and ignoble creature such as yourself wields magic powerful enough to create a bridge to cross the gorge, Surely, such a notion should be trivial for someone of my stature.
Which is why Birdie brought it up, because he's like, and he kind of does a "and" motion.
And then
Like, come on.
then she just winks at you, and she reiterates her weariness in the conversation. And she leans back, and her body language at this point is very clearly indicating that it's time for you to depart.
Hey, what's the command word for the ballista?
Raazu snarls and starts shoving Adrex out the door.
No, I wanted the command word.
When you guys exit the room, Thada is standing over here in the corner. And you see she's kind of been standing at attention the whole time. She says, "The door locked. When you all went through, I tried to open it and come after you."
Yeah, I warned you about that, didn't I?
Did she indicate which of these 2 guest rooms we were supposed to be using?
No, she just said for you to use one of them.
Does the key open both of them?
You try the key, and it does indeed open this door. And it opens into a not particularly lavish, just little sleeping chamber. There are a couple of straw mattresses. There is a warming curtain hanging on the wall. There are chamber pots. A large metal fire pit is affixed into the center of the floor. And a couple of unused trunks. So the 5 of you could sleep in this room, but it would be pretty cramped.
Raazu steps into the room, looks around.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever stopped us before.
Birdie grabs Thada by the hand and pulls her in too.
Okay.
And just kind of, and if she tries to stop, I'm literally going to shove her in.
No, she doesn't make any attempt to stop you.
Raazu shuts the door.
Birdie switch here.
Raazu strokes her chin for a minute and thinks, and lost in thought.
What about a Wolverine? Rather than a badger. Would that
Alright.
be more respectful, Raazu?
No, I don't think that's the command word.
Raazu.
Is a Wolverine part wolf?
Why are you rating Rodex?
That's 20 decks.
Oh, 20
Like,
decks.
that's-
Okay, you're
I put a
trapping the door?
Yes.
Did you lock the door?
Yes.
Okay. And the door locks
Raazu-
with the key from both sides.
Raazu snarls at the lot of them from, and says, "Look, I think we've all made our decision as to what is to be done with her." She gestures across the hall. Have we not?
Birdie looks nervously at Red.
I mean, I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other, honestly. I don't know enough about liches to know if that would be effectively slavery. I think we should probably just bring the lich back and try talking to her first to get her side of the story.
And if she goes berserk, attempts to do whatever she tried to do ages past again.
I mean, we were already prepared for that eventuality. Like, that's half the reason we're here, but maybe if we can reason with, at least if we have more information from the person that both sides are trying to deal with, like,
Raazu nods to Adrex and the quiver with the 3 arrows, and says, "That's our ace in the hole. We don't reveal that."
So, does anybody else feel that the dog lady was incredibly scary?
Yeah.
She was intimidating to say the least.
I think it's more of a jackal, really.
Think she
I
like
mean-
scritches behind the ear?
Maybe like a dingo? Does she eat
Adrex,
babies?
focus.
Do you think that if you turned the keyhole to nothing, that the entire battlement would disappear?
The whole castle might disappear. Which is
Raazu is literally internally doing this.
Hey, do you want to use the stone on, say, that window at some point before we inevitably have to hope that she's right, that it's a self-destruct mechanism in case we need it?
when we get up in the morning, I would like to go see that sunlight thing to recharge all of our small bits and baubles.
Really wanted that command word.
Birdie pats.
Raazu, why
She's
did,
not
why
like
did-
she's not like to give she's not like to give us free reign of her weapons.
You don't happen to know the command word, do you, Thada?
She gave us a key that undoes the whole castle.
Birdie holds up that. Hey, maybe it's
Well,
on
that's what
this.
she said it does.
Here's the thing, though, is if that thing, if we use that and it does do what she says does, it destroys us as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. A lot of things that should have destroyed us didn't destroy us.
We should
I'm
test it and make sure.
No. For once
Why
in your
would
life,
you make a
all
key
of,
that destroyed the whole cat? Like, it's got to do something useful.
for all
Which
of
is
you,
why Red is holding the key. Like, I want to point this out to absolutely everybody listening.
There's a reason why Wendy didn't keep the key.
And why Adrex agreed.
She figures if she can convince Red to use the key, then that means it should have been used.
Can I quickly be reminded of Wendy and Adrix's flaws?
Yeah, I know. That sounds like a great idea.
And wait,
Wait,
what
how
does
does
that do?
Let's not forget Reds, which is sometimes it's best to just do what needs to be done. So talking to the others would be a waste of time.
all right. You guys have fun. This is
Personally,
you guys destroy the planet. It's all on you. Have
Raazu
fun.
gives
Yeah,
a
I think
peace
we
sign
should-
and climbs out the arrow.
Base,
Here's the
basically.
thing, though. It has 8 slots, right?
I think we
So-
should.
Right.
Again, I think we should legend lore the window and see if we can learn anything else about it.
Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah, that's why I said that a while ago. Sorry.
Birdie just takes the trap off, opens the door, and just
Yeah, and Wendy is out the door.
And Adrex is running behind them.
no, like
Red's
Like-
just calmly rolling out his pack, resorting it for the night.
We're not splitting up, but we're not leaving anyone alone in this fucking place. For God's sake, Birdie, go with them.
Raazu, can I have all of your magic items? I'm gonna go do that to the sunlight thing. Like your ring of
Are you? Do you have no sense of personal irony? Do you have no sense of self-reflection, Birdie?
I'll give them back.
Do daggers run out of magic eventually?
I don't think so.
Here, take this one. I'll pull one of the 3 Dragonbone daggers off my belt just to check.
Okay.
I don't have any items with charges anyway.
You have the ring of heat metal and a bead of force.
Those things break when they get used. And the heat metal ring, maybe? I don't know, but I don't really trust you with the heat metal ring, let's be honest. If we're being honest with ourselves.
I mean, I have my horn, but it doesn't. I think it's still pretty much full up. We haven't used it in a while.
Birdie looks at you very disappointedly, Raazu. She says, "After all this time," and he turns.
Make sure they don't end up getting themselves killed.
They don't have the key.
Adrix and Wendy and Birdie
Yeah.
heading back into the room, and it's colder than many of the rooms here, just because the wind is blowing in from outside. What are you doing?
I'm gonna look
Using
for.
legend lore on the window.
Okay. And you receive visions of a humanoid whose face you never see. He's draped in white robes. And he's riding on the back of some kind of pack animal. You're not sure what. It's not one you've ever seen. Some kind of beast of burden. A great, fat, hairy thing. With very thick, brown, coarse hair. And large, curling horns coming off of the front of its head. And it moves with this lumbering gait. Behind it, it's dragging this cart. Overfilled with... You're not sure what. Because there's cloth thrown over it. It's tied down. And you see this creature moving through a great number of locations. You see him dragging his pack through the desert and then through a narrow mountainous path. You see him winding his way through the narrow streets of a bustling marketplace. And watching his pack, there seems to be less and less and less material there. Until you see a vision of him crossing the snowfields. And you can't identify where these are at, but you think you've got a pretty good guess. And then the vision ends.
Huh. I'll kind of relate that to the other two in the room.
And Adrex just has this quizzical look on his face.
It travels, maybe?
Birdie's looking for the keyhole.
Where are you looking?
I'm just gonna. I'll
Looking
start
at the obvious place, in the center of the window. It's not there. You don't see a keyhole there. In fact, you don't even see anywhere where there could be a mechanism for a lock there.
Pull open the knob.
There's
Okay.
not really a knob.
Wasn't there?
No.
Wasn't there a thing that he was trying to rattle or twist?
Yeah, that's the
Oh, the center.
brass
Hands.
ring in the center of this window.
Well. And there's nothing in the window. Is there anything like on the base? Like
Going along the
Like
base of the window, feeling with your hands. When you get to about the center, or about the place where the brass pole of the center of the window adjoins the window pane, you feel an indentation, and you can slip your fingers up into it, and inside you feel the base of what feels like a brass pipe, a circular brass pipe. It feels like it's the bottom of a great wheel. What tells you it's not the bottom of a great wheel is that there's no physical space for this wheel to turn into. You literally have your fingers up underneath... you figuratively have your fingers up underneath the window pane at this point. Because language evolves. And yeah,
Wow.
moving your fingers back and forth, it's very cold, and it feels like it might be frozen a little bit, but just because it's been exposed to the elements for so long. But it is a wheel, and if you gripped it, you could turn it with enough force.
I mean, if I had found this before, I would have done it. But now I'm a little hesitant because of the whole unmake the entire castle while we were in it thing.
That's why there's a safety key.
That's why there's a safety key, yeah. Does it seem like, Birdie, the indentation there, if you put the key there, would fit?
In addition to that question, does it look like? You said I could turn it. Can I turn it without the key?
Let me be clear, you probably can't turn it, because you would need enough strength to dislodge this frozen wheel and actually get it moving. But somebody with a good grip and some elbow grease could do it.
Okay.
But no, you don't have any understanding of where a key might go.
So
All right. Well, maybe it's a magic key.
this could be unrelated. I don't know.
We can figure it out later when we want to end the universe or whatever.
It's probably a good thing that I can't turn it, because I would totally have turned it.
And
I'll go back in and relate the vision to the others.
After a few moments, your companions return and tell you about this weird-ass wheel they found. What percentage of Windy is wondering what the creature in the vision tastes like if you were to, like, grill it up?
Well, I mean, it wasn't dead.
Raazu's still kind of fuming a little bit at the just... Like, quite, like, she hasn't said... She would have said this to Red while the others were off looking at the window, but she says, look, I mean, maybe there is something to be said for this whole opposition thing, and Raazu bears the mark on her hand, shows it to Red, and says, maybe there is some kind of... Maybe this is the conflict that they're talking about. I don't know, but I'm at my wit's end with those three.
Yeah, I don't buy into this whole magical predestined war bullshit.
But I'm literally at my wit's end. I don't know what is wrong with them. Why do they?
Raazu, think about it this way. If we had to do everything through careful, precise orders and pre-machinations, nothing would ever get done. Some days, you just need Windy to step into the room and set off whatever is going to happen.
And then Wendy steps into the room and sets off Raazu.
Yeah, no, it's like you can literally hear her jaw set as Wendy walks into the room, and Raazu just like, oh, fuck's sake.
Raazu, calm down. We didn't undo the castle, okay?
I can see that.
Just a
Thank
quick
you,
out of character.
Adrex.
Are the other? Am I remembering correctly that the other three that aren't in the room right now are all the chaotics in the party?
Wendy's lawful.
The other three are the
Okay.
people aligned with contestants. Like you and I are aligned with not contestants.
Oh no, neutral.
Yeah, Birdie's neutral too.
I was like, that doesn't sound right, actually.
Yeah, I was gonna call you if you.
Raazu's
Yeah,
the
I was like,
only
that doesn't
Raazu's the only lawful, and Adrex is the only chaotic.
Okay.
That's hilarious.
Oh my god, Raazu is.
Apparently, you can
Raazu-
change teams if you just have them remove your lips and put them back on.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do
That's
that.
any consolidation.
I'm not gonna have anyone remove my hand and put another one in its place. Thank you.
To be fair, you kind of died, and that kind of had the same effect.
Can you stop saying that, please?
Yeah, how did you not lose your temper when she was going on about what it means to be dead and the eternity of silence and shit like that?
Raazu has never had any trouble finding her temper.
I know. That was wild.
Raazu was only dead for like a week, though, not like 1,000 years.
Yeah, but she didn't have very good. What I took away from that was it wasn't very good. I don't think. I feel like they kind of line up, even if they're not saying the same thing.
Here's the thing, though: is it could either be a week, it could have been a minute, it could have been 1,000 years. Raazu has absolutely no idea. Like that's literally the way it was kind of described to me, and that's how I'm choosing to interpret it.
Yeah, but your former gods were dead, though, right? So I mean, maybe the living gods have a better afterlife.
Really, I assume the living gods wouldn't have any afterlife.
Well, I mean, they're around to keep the place tidy, sweep up.
Like, because the dead gods died, right? So they went there and made the place ready for all their followers.
As this discussion happens,
Here's okay.
you guys notice that Thada is sitting kind of Indian style in the middle of the room, and she is listening rapturously to this whole conversation. She is hanging on your every word as you're detailing your various, like your different religions and your philosophies. Like she is just drinking at the font of your knowledge.
Oh no.
The question
No.
is...
No.
Yeah.
We have ruined this poor girl.
What
Turn
are
her
you
into an
talking about?
adventurer.
Are you, if the orc didn't ruin her, or wait, that was a human actually.
He was a human.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, certainly
Humans
is.
can't be trusted with children.
Humans are fucked. Let's be honest.
So are you guys staying in this room? And
Yes,
just
and I
be having these discussions long into the next day?
I think so, yeah.
Birdie's
We
going
haven't
to
been able
sleep.
to actually sleep. We've tried.
No,
Yeah.
Birdie's sleeping. Birdie has stopped, and he
Red
is
is
going
also
to
going to insist on a watch, by the way.
Yeah, we do need to keep a watch,
But we have Birdie's 20 dex trap, though.
but we can't rely on that because remember in the Feywild and in the Underdark and half a dozen other places, the Kovnos, all of those places, they all had eyes and ears. Yeah.
I'm sure she's listening to us as we blabber on. Whatever.
Everybody,
She listened to me snore. And Birdie goes to sleep.
everybody who's going to go to sleep tonight can go ahead and take the benefits of a long rest.
Uh-huh.
Whew, I need that.
And
But
it is
Birdie
a
can
very
take the
uneventful night. It is quiet. You are not molested in your room at all. The only actual sounds are the winds you hear from the arrow loops outside. But the room itself is not... Well, one edge of the room that's exposed to the wind would be cold, but the other end you have this comfortable warmth coming off of the curtain. And for all intents and purposes, it's pretty much the first good sleep you've had in the couple of days you've been...
Did we give the elk enough food to survive for 2 days
Yeah.
without us? Because I'm concerned that we
I
go
don't
back
think
and try
anyone
to find the
assumed
sled
we'd be right
and
back.
we don't have. Okay.
I can't imagine anyone would have made that. Would have who in this group would have thought, "Oh no, this will take 10 minutes."
Well, we've
Besides-
got her blessing. We've got her blessing as guests, so maybe we can swing. Maybe we can convince her that we can bring our equipment across.
Maybe we could make a snow ramp and do a sick jump.
Besides, worst comes to worst, Adrex will pull the sled as long as we let him jump on when we're going down hills.
Adrex nods.
Adrex nods sagely.
Who took the last watch?
Raazu would.
Okay. Raazu. The first to
Yeah.
wake up in the group is Thada. And she's being very quiet because everyone else is still asleep. Do you guys have any fire in the room? Did you light a candle or a torch or anything?
Yeah, we would have.
Really, I feel like when Adrex is asleep, that we don't need light. Like, I
Well,
think the only time we'd have lit a candle is on Adrex's watch, and he probably
Raazu would
way
have.
more out.
Raazu would have lit a candle because
Okay.
she wants to read.
Okay. And Thada is amusing herself by holding her hand above Adrex's face while he snores and letting the discharge through his nostrils ice her hand over and then racing back to the candle to rewarm it up.
Raazu doesn't stop this. She finds it kind of amusing too.
Raazu, make a perception check. At disadvantage. That's a low roll on my part.
Let's see, I only have a +1 to this, so let's see what happens. Oh, 19. It's an 18, but the worst roll. Oh, 16. Okay.
16.
Beat the odds today.
At one point, very early, I mean, it's not morning because to get an 8-hour sleep, you guys have to sleep probably a little past noon the next day.
Yeah.
But towards the end of your watch, towards about the time where everybody should be getting up and started thinking about what they're going to have for breakfast for the day, you think you hear a jostle. Not coming from the pull ring on the door, not coming from the door itself, but coming from whatever mechanism Birdie set as a trap. And you just hear it for a moment, and as you sit there thinking, you wonder if you actually heard something or if it's just your certainty that Daedra Daya is playing you all for fools that caused you to think you heard something.
Roz is going to investigate.
Okay. How are you going to
Open
investigate this trap? You can't open the door without setting off the trap.
Oh.
Yeah, you have to make that
Yeah.
deck save if you go to open the door. I'll only make it at advantage because you know that Birdie set a trap there and you know it's coming.
Yeah, I'll do that.
So you just open up the door?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna... What? Okay. Fuck's sake.
Make a dexterity saving throw at advantage. What kind of trap is this, Birdie?
Pass.
It's a guillotine.
Birdie, what kind of trap was this? Was this a damage one or was this a knock you over prone one?
It was a damage 2d4 plus my dex mod, which is 5.
What causes the damage of this particular trap?
I don't think we talked about it, but it would probably just be needles or spikes of some kind.
And you're not, Raazu, you're not sure what to expect. You know there's a trap there, so you very gingerly open the door. And when you open the door all the way, nothing happens. You see on the floor several needles laying very gingerly arranged in a semicircle. And sitting next to them is a very small slip of paper rolled up with the tiniest piece of string.
Rosa reaches over, pulls it, picks it up, opens it up in the light.
You open it up, and written on the inside, in the common script, in very crude handwriting, it says that you are all guests of the castle until such time as Daedra Daya summons you again. And then in the corner, you see a very detailed diagram, like an exploded diagram of all the little pieces of the trap that Birdie has built, down to the smallest minute piece. And next to it is just drawn a dick.
Raazu drops the piece of paper on Birdie's body for him to find when he wakes up, and then just rolls her eyes, goes back to leaning against the wall.
And that's what you all wake up to. When you open up your eyes, the door is open. Birdie's trap has been dismantled and laid out, organized in front of the door. And you're informed that Daedra will summon you when she's ready for you.
Birdie is collects all his little bits and bobs and puts them back in his bag of crap. And then
nothing at all has been broken. This trap was very expertly dismantled piece by piece.
I mean,
Think that
Birdie
little
would-
gremlin with a crown did it? That's my guess.
Birdie kind of shrugs and he goes, I really just put it there in case I was kind of expecting, skeletons mostly.
I had a thought.
Uh,
I think we should stick to the plan. We unbind the Lich. We try to make it our friend.
yeah.
If that fails, then we do what Daedra wants, because at that point, the Lich is probably going to kill us all in.
Thada suggests that before you do any of that, because this is a big decision, and Circase has taught her to never make a big decision on an empty stomach.
Sure.
She suggests that you should go downstairs to the stores and fix breakfast.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, show me where they are.
Well, you know where they are. You've been in the room before.
Is it the
do
room
need-
Brick Road. It's her stores.
We do need to see about retrieving our method of unbinding the Lich.
It was a good thought, though, right? Like, I had a good thought. Good.
I'm with you all the way until the last point.
I don't agree with working with Daedra. Let's be
Yeah, I don't know
clear on
I don't
that.
know what we're going to do until we get there at this point. I need to hear
Yeah.
Lich's story.
Hey, Red, so
Yeah.
you know how we keep having this conversation back and forth? Like, is undeath, like, are they just, like, mindless automatons? Are they in there? Is it eternal suffering? Are they, it's just... And there's a necromancer downstairs. We're now guests. We can go ask.
I mean, it's worth a shot.
Hey, Thada, how good a cook are you?
She tells you that Sir Caston has never had cause to complain.
Starcaston didn't seem that choosy.
So,
I'll be the judge of that. Let's go.
let me get your afternoon actions for the lot of you. What is Birdie doing?
Like, I'm going to go talk to the necromancer bear man and just ask him a bunch of inane questions and try to get as much information from him as possible.
What is Adrex doing?
Give me a moment.
Are you all going to have a morning meal before you do this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So heading down to the kitchens, then. We'll start there. And so 18 here was a kitchen, and 19 was essentially a store.
Mhm.
Very little here. Definitely less food than if the keep were filled with people. But certainly enough here for the likes of the few mortal creatures that you've come across. And Thada even explains that typically they take their meals one at a time. And she knows that some of the ones that work down in the basement level don't take their meals up here at all. But she sets to work fixing a breakfast with just something simple: meat, eggs, some bread, a little bit of butter. some
Can I
good
get
cider.
2 of those eggs raw?
That's gross. That's disgusting. What is Adrex doing after breakfast?
Adrex.
Well, let me ask this: are you guys splitting up and doing different things after breakfast, or are you going to insist on staying together?
Raazu is of the mind that we should go and retrieve the sledge and the stuff.
Red thinks we should use at least the buddy system. No one should be anywhere by themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Adrex wants to go, or rather, I'm sorry, not Adrex. Wendy wants to go with Birdie to go talk to the bear man.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wendy,
Adrex
I'm going to
will-
have you represent my beliefs in that discussion if you don't mind. I'll go
Sure.
help with the sled.
What are your beliefs?
I don't
Slavery
know.
bad.
Okay, you got it.
I don't have a lot of theological training on undeath.
So Birdie like starts giving them a lot of like care instructions for his elves. Like, listen, you be nice to my boys.
If they haven't been eaten already.
Care
If
and
I-
feeding if you're out.
And he points at Raazu very forcefully and says, "If my elks have been eaten, I'm blaming you for putting that out there." And he turns around and he walks out of the.
Raazu makes mock fear. Ooh.
If Birdie eats you, I'll eat him. And Wendy heads up.
Adrix,
No
are you
one's
going to help
eating
retrieve the
anyone.
sledge, or are you going to go talk to the necrobear?
I was going to help retrieve the sledge because Adrex has wings and can fly, and he's strong, so he can. If we can't
Carry
think
the
of
stuff
anything
back
better
across.
to do, he can haul stuff over
Okay.
slowly but surely. As long as he doesn't get thunderbolted, because that would suck.
Part
I
of the
think
ritual
that's not-
when it comes to reviving this tree, which is one of the steps of unsealing the lich, involves taking under the sledge. You guys are carrying these like long pieces of wood, essentially wooden poles or rods, and you're supposed to pin them to the earth around the tree in a particular magical pattern. The problem is there's a metal plate in the courtyard that's been affixed underneath this tree. And actually pinning anything to the earth is going to be impossible. Is the goal to bring everything from the sledge back across the gap and into the courtyard?
Yeah,
Yes.
that was Adrix's thing.
Okay.
Including the elks if they're still alive and there.
They are, but Adrix can't carry an elk.
He's pretty strong. He does have a 20 strength.
Yeah,
And
that's
he has an animal handling of +1.
sure, but
We only had the one magical ice bridge.
Right.
Yep.
No, the elks are both alive. They're in good health.
Birdie gave you instructions to how to feed the elks.
Of course he did.
Do you follow
Birdie, I
Birdie's
feel like-
instructions?
I feel like Birdie loves the elks more than the rest of us. Not gonna lie.
Wait, Birdie loves the elks more than the rest of us love the elks, or Birdie loves the elks more than he loves the rest of us?
Yes.
You know what I mean.
I actually don't. That's why I asked.
Yes, Adrix would follow instructions.
Okay.
I think Birdie is going to put a knife between my ribs one of these days.
No, Birdie loves you. Hush.
And it's difficult work, but you guys bring the elk closer to the ledge. Adrix flies back and forth across, bringing armfuls of this heavy wood, stacking it up. Red and Raazu bring it inside and arrange it under the boughs of this great petrified tree. And, I mean, this work takes a good long while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's made more difficult by the cold, although the weather looks like it is holding. For what it's worth, it is a somewhat sunny day. The other two are going down to the basement to speak with the necrobear.
Mm-hmm. Bearmancer?
Necrobear.
Oh, Bearmancer would be terrifying. He just summons bears. Wait, that's
That
a
was-
druid.
That was basically mahogany.
That was basically mahogany.
Did he ever summon a bear?
Oh yeah, buddy. I summoned 2 bears,
I mean,
and then I
They were
turned
water
into a
bears.
bear.
transformed into a bear quite a lot.
I remember water bears.
I remember there being 3 bears.
I remember there being Styx water bears. That's what I remember.
I remember,
Yeah.
That was
I
amazing.
remember a shark at
that was
one
bad
point,
scene.
which was ridiculous.
Never got that plesiosaur though.
As you guys come down into the basement, you do pass once or twice some of the skeletal Dragonborn. And they're patrolling the hallways of the keep. But now, when they see you, instead of attacking on sight, they stop moving. And they just hold their swords and stand motionless until you pass, at which point they resume their patrol.
Birdie's going to like stop, stare at him, and then say, "Follow me," and see if they follow.
They do not.
Oh,
Are you like a soul trapped in a bone, or like just following orders animated by a spell?
Nodal's one of
Alright,
those guys, like, he would fly to London and then, like, try to mess with the royal guards that aren't allowed to talk to people. Like, he'd be
Well,
the
the
asshole, be
guards
like, hang his
attacking a
backpack
palace.
on one of them and give him bunny ears.
Fuck with the guards at Buckingham Palace, yeah.
But yeah, you're not able to elicit a reaction out of the Dragonborn skeletons by talking to them or by making motions or anything of that nature. The question is, do you hit them with anything?
Nah.
No.
Okay.
That
Well,
would just be rude.
When you head down into the basement, walk through the gore chambers, and you make it back to this room here. And rapping on the door. After a moment, you hear the voice from inside. And it's the same voice of the bear man as before. And he says that I am somewhat relieved to learn that I did not send you to your deaths.
Thank you. And
Yep.
may we come in?
And he says in a still very wary voice why he should allow that.
We want to ask you some questions. We're guests. You know guests.
Not of mine.
I'm asking you if we might become guests of yours.
He says he will hear your questions, but he will hear you from the safety of his chamber.
What if I offer to bring you breakfast?
He says he's already eaten, and it's far too late for breakfast in any case. You guys slept till noon, remember?
Right?
Listen, it's breakfast when it's breakfast food.
So
All right, what's in the smoke well?
What's in the smoke well?
Yeah.
He says he hasn't plumbed the depths of the well. And in fact, he was cautioned by Daedra Daya not to.
Well, there's smoke in it. That's a gift from me to you.
Can you give me a basic primer on necromancy? That seems like it'd be good information.
He tells you there's a common misconception about necromantic magic.
Oh,
That most people consider necromantic magic to be the magic of death,
sure.
when in fact, it is the magic of life.
That sounds good.
He describes this in terms of heat and cold. How cold is merely the absence of heat. Whether you build a fire or extinguish it, you're neither adding heat nor adding cold. You're simply adjusting the amount of heat in the system. So it is
Couldn't
with
you just say that
necromancy.
heat is an absence of cold then?
Do you continue to... How often does Wendy interrupt him when he's talking?
Birdie will slap Wendy every time.
So Birdie has to
Fine.
jump to do this.
No, Wendy's like that. No, that's fair enough. Sure.
He says that necromancy is the magic of utilizing life by adding or reducing the amount of it in a particular system.
Okay.
Okay,
So-
but when people die, right, and then you bring them back as a skeleton, are they still the people, or are you just using the bones?
At that, you hear the latch on the door, and it opens slightly. And there's a chain on the inside of the door, so it can't be pushed all the way open, but you see the bear man on the other side, gazing out at you, as though he's trying to get a read on you.
That's gonna be hard. Wendy doesn't have any eyes.
Because let me put this into terms that I can understand. When I make jerky, I'm using the body of the thing that I killed, but not it's not still the creature. It's just the meat. So is it like that?
He
'Cause I don't have
asks
a
you.
problem with that. They're not using it.
He asks you if you have any such jerky on you that you've made.
Okay, and I will hand this over, but if you animate it, so help me God, I already dealt with that once, and that was more than enough.
The door closes for a second, and you hear the chain rattle, and then it reopens, and he bids you enter. And you guys have been in this room before, have you not?
No.
No.
Adrex has.
Adrex
No.
has, while he was looking for Goblin Lady.
Yeah, well, I was trying to get help to get us from the imaginary realm.
All right, it was empty.
Right, he broke in, but the bear man wasn't home. Okay.
Yeah.
Entering the room, he accepts the jerky, and he's holding this piece of just dried flesh. And then he looks at you and says, "And what shall be your payment for this lesson?"
What do you like? I
Gold.
offered you food earlier, but you didn't seem interested.
He immediately says gold.
All right, well,
I mean,
I'm-
there's a whole
Got
bunch of
some
it up in. There's a whole bunch of it up there. Nobody's
that's,
watching it.
that's not ours. Here, listen, I can pay for... Does it have to be gold in particular, or, like, just valuable?
He says,
I
any,
only-
if it, he's not interested if it's taken from Daedradiah's treasury, if that's what you're asking.
No. It's just there was a whole silver thing this one time.
He says silver is also valuable.
Okay, and Wendy reaches into her pack for a little bit and then pulls out a piece of platinum.
Okay.
So will this do?
And he accepts it, and he asks which of you will be receiving the lesson.
Wendy raises her hand quickly.
He asks if you have any affinity for speaking to animals. For example, what was the nature of this poor creature before it was slaughtered for meat?
I believe that was a deer?
And he asks if you are able to speak with deer.
No. Well... And Wendy pauses for a second.
Have you
If
ever
it was
tried?
able to speak with anyone else... maybe?
I think the ruling on that is it has to be able to speak some language,
Right!
Which
So that's
deers-
why we...
which deers cannot.
Yeah.
He tells you, then, he's going to have to make use of a second, much lesser magic. And there's a slight cost for that as well, as he tucks the 1 platinum coin into his robes.
Uh-huh. And I'll take out a second platinum coin. I'll say, keep the change, don't worry about it.
Which he accepts. And he speaks. Actually, I need to make sure. I don't even know what components this spell has. Almost certainly verbal.
It's a platinum coin.
Yeah. It's a first level druid spell. It's not going to be that expensive. But he does speak magic words over you for a moment. And you feel... you're acquainted with magic yourself. You carry magic items. You've cast magic spells. You're not very familiar with all the workings of it, but you understand there's kind of an ebb and flow. There's kind of a push and pull to magic as it goes back and forth. And you feel magic enter you. And it feels primal. It feels natural. It feels like light and water. And then he bids you sit. And he would tell you to close your eyes, but there's no need. This will work
All right.
better for you than it would for most people.
Wendy will sit down.
He places your hands, talons, I guess,
Yeah.
on the scrap of jerky. And you hear him speak again as he walks back over to one of his shelves. What is the... It says this has a material component, but it doesn't say what it is. Birdie, you see him take a material component as the nature of the spell. And the first spell that entered you, Wendy, you felt the ability to hear things that you weren't able to before. This affinity to speak with animals. The second magic that he puts in you feels much heavier. You would even say it feels darker, except for his explanation a moment ago. And you realize, well, darkness is really only the absence of light. And you feel like you can speak with dead things as well.
And Wendy will, like, look down at the jerky and say, "Hello?"
And you feel like you can ask this piece of jerky 5 questions.
Like, does it... Like, Birdie's just asking constant questions, and, like...
No,
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 Wendy,
I want to hear. I want to hear
can.
some of them.
No, I'm asking Wendy questions, like, what... Like, trying to get, like, what she's sensing and stuff. Does it have to be just the jerky? Can we go talk to one of the skeletons?
The bear man holds up his paw, and his eyes, you notice, never leave Wendy. He's watching her very intently. And he says there will be time for your banal interruptions after the demonstration is over. And then he bids Wendy continue.
And Wendy asks the jerky, "What have the last 2 days been like?"
And the response you get, it doesn't come as a language. It comes more like a feeling, just this kind of, like this empathetic wave that you feel what this creature might have felt. And just this intense solitude, like being in a place that is completely devoid of life or light and sound. And you also get the sense that it's been much, much longer than 2 days, because indeed you made this jerky a long time ago.
No, sure, but Wendy is going for, like, specific questions.
Mm-hmm.
And then Wendy asks, "Why do you have to answer the questions?"
And you just get this feeling of this extremely strong compulsion. Has Wendy ever been charmed? In this campaign?
Yeah.
So, I mean, and you remember being under the magical effects of that charm and feeling compelled to do things, even though your mind and body would have told you otherwise. That's the response.
Is this better than being in the darkness, or worse?
And the response is that essentially it's still in the darkness. It hasn't left that place.
Would you prefer to sit here waiting for another question, or stop having to anticipate the questions?
And you get a strong feeling of relief, of coolness, as you would taking a drink of water after being thirsty for a very long time. And the answer seems to be it would prefer to drink water.
Is Wendy about to have a pet piece of jerky? Is that what's going on here?
Wendy, you have one more question.
You know, Wendy will get some water out and pour it on the jerky, and then just say, "Is that better?"
And the response you get is that the creature doesn't even know what you've done. Does not have any way to have sensed that you've poured water on this piece of jerky. And then you
Okay.
feel the presence slip away as the spell wears off. So I guess the question now is Wendy now a vegetarian?
No, God, no. And then, so the Wendy kind of looks up and just say, "Death seems horrible."
And the Necro Bear nods and says, "It matters not how small the pieces become. It matters not if you were burned to ash or digested in a stomach. Part of your being remains anchored to your physical form, though that form may be blown to the winds. And a man skilled enough in the necromantic sciences can always put the pieces back together." And then he picks the jerky up off the table. And he snaps his teeth around it, rips off a large chunk. He tells you, "Thank you for the jerky."
Well, you're welcome. Birdie, do you have any questions?
Yeah. That
Yeah,
are the skeletons aware?
kind of.
He tells you the skeletons are aware of their orders by either
Okay.
his words or Daedra
So, but like, is that? And he points at the jerky.
which is gone now.
Yes.
He's eaten it.
Yeah.
Like, is that in the skeletons? Like, is there an awareness behind the skeletons?
He says there's no awareness behind the jerky either, unless it is called for.
Yeah, but
it barely seemed attached. Like it didn't. It was asking
Barely?
for water.
no,
Ugh.
hush, Bertrand.
He asks you, where did you hunt this creature? And you recall having shot this deer near a stream. This thing
Yeah.
must have been drinking from the stream as you snuck up on it. Did not even hear or feel the shot of your arrow until it was already dead.
Yeah. And then Windy just kind of shakes his head and says, I don't know. I'll need to think about it some more. It doesn't seem completely attached.
Okay, secondary question. Where's this golden sunlight that recharges magical items?
Oh, that's upstairs next to the kitchen.
Is it?
Yeah, that was up in the chapel on the first floor.
Okay, for some reason I thought it was down here. Okay, then alternate secondary question.
Yeah.
Can we get it? Can you let us in here, Mr. Bearman?
This in where?
In the treasury? Or the weapon storage?
Yeah.
And he
there's
tells
in there.
you that there would be little reason for you to go into that room. It merely holds armaments for the patrolmen.
Is. Then why do you have it locked to where only dead things can get in there? Seems kind of overkill.
He says because only the dead things need the weapons.
But what do you do when you need to restock it? Well, I guess you just send more dead things, right? Okay, never mind. That makes sense.
Asked and answered.
And I mean, hypothetically speaking, you might want to keep that sort of thing behind a lock that only the undead can open because someone might throw it off a cliff otherwise.
The Bearmancer says no, that would be ridiculous. Who would do such a thing?
Who would do such ridiculous
Purely
things?
hypothetical.
So, let's go ahead and we're going to take a 15-minute break now. And when we come back at about 4:20, we will check out the magical recharge station upstairs. Let's go ahead and put Elizabeth on screen here.
Check it out of the library.
All right, I'll see you guys in about 15 minutes.